1977 онд байгуулагдсан Германы Brabus компани нь Mercedes-Benz маркийн автомашинуудыг хурд хүч, загвар дизайныг сайжруулан тоноглож, тансаг зэрэглэлийн автомашиныг хэрэглэгчдэд санал болгодог компани юм. Mercedes AMG G63 Brabus 700 загвар нь 700 барны хүчтэй хос турбо V8 хөдлөхүүртэй бөгөөд 4.3 секундээс бага хугацаанд 100 км/цаг хүртэл хурдалдаг. Дээд хурдаа хавбал 240 км/цаг хүрч чадах хүчирхэг автомашин. Түүний тод хөрөнгийн улаан хөрөнгөний хослол нь тансаг болон спортлог байдлыг хамтд нь илтгэх бөгөөд захиалгат Brabus хайшин овоотойгоор онцлог юм. Манай энэ дугаарын зочид бол тансаг зэрэглэлийн үйл хөдлөх хөрөнгийн зөвлөх Игнас Мювиссен болон Монголиан Пропертис ХХК-ийн Үүсгэн байгуулагч Ерөнхий захирал Ли Кашел юм.
So Lee, how long you are in Mongolia?
I've been here about 23 years,
Wow.
in and out. So yeah, but firstly, welcome to Mongolia.
Yeah.
Have you ever been here before?
Yeah, I was here I think a few years ago
Oh,
at
okay,
the
great.
airport for one meeting, but when I see now, I'm very surprised with everything. But you are here 23 years.
Yes, it's been a long
How
time.
was it in that time, Lee? Is it?
Yeah, well, the economy wasn't really very good back then, so it was just starting to grow a little bit. Prices were very inexpensive, and yeah, but it was a really good time to start.
You was the
business here.
first.
Yeah, I was the first. I started the first real estate agency in the country.
Was it not like? Actually, you talk, and I don't say risk, but for you was it also? It's you were searching a new market in that time. Or,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I was looking around all of Asia, and actually the purchase price of the apartments was less than the construction cost or the replacement value. So just at that time, they were starting to discover a lot of minerals in the ground. So it's really a mathematical equation.
Lee, you know, I'm now here the second time. I'm really surprised what's going on here. But is it when I spoke the last years with people, Mongolia or abroad, is it I don't say to buy something, is it, can the government take it back? Or no, everything is correct, you buy property, it's yours?
Yeah, it depends on how you define property. So once you have your movable property certificate, not even the government can take it away from you.
So everything is correct, it's straight?
Yes.
Maybe it's the same like UK?
It's exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, when I build a building, that triangular building back there,
Yeah.
that's my building.
Are you serious?
One of my buildings, yeah.
So you're really building?
Oh yeah,
But how is it that you don't speak the language?
my wife's Mongolian.
Okay. And how you see, if you see today and if you see 23 years ago, how
Yeah.
you see it?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
mean,
a big change?
everywhere we're driving through right now was just a field of grass. So the change, it gathered momentum, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the city, it seemed like, became property developers, whether they were good at it or not.
Yeah, it's all like this.
Yeah, so a lot of money that people made from coal or gold or import-export or from oil transportation or gas stations, much of it went into real estate. So there's not really one of the top 10 biggest companies in the country who haven't now decided to start getting into property development. Yeah.
What are the prices, the square meter prime here, Lee?
Prime is around $3,000 a square meter.
Also starting up, eh?
It is. Yeah.
Is there, if you buy, I want to buy a property prime, is it easy to rent it?
Easy
What's
to-
the return? What's the return on the yield?
So that's really the most fascinating story about Mongolia.
Really?
So when I first came here and I bought those 3 apartments, I first rented my first apartment to a Swiss NGO
Okay.
for around $600 a month.
Okay.
So 600
20 years ago.
20 years ago, I bought it for $10,000.
Okay.
So $600 times 12 months, so $7,200. I got 72% rental yield. Yeah. And at the time, there was no income tax on your rental income because the government didn't know that
They didn't know
that business existed. And there's always been no capital gains tax in Mongolia because we're sitting here above China, and for the last 25 years, China has soaked up like 80% of all of Asia Pacific's foreign direct investment. And so, Mongolia was a relatively unknown country. They couldn't attract really very much foreign direct investment. So they kept the taxes very low. So today, still, we don't really have a capital gains tax.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And now, very interesting, your last 23 years of profession.
It's been really fun. I've tried probably, 10 to 15 different businesses here. But property development and real estate agency is the one that we're kind of best at.
And what you know.
Yeah.
And other business?
Yeah, we have a bunch of bars and restaurants.
Okay.
So we're growing that company now.
Okay.
It's called Etopia.
Okay.
So that's growing because the GDP per capita is, really getting better.
Okay.
So now the country is kind of growing 7, 8, maybe 9%.
Okay.
So it makes it like the fastest or growing country in Asia.
Wow.
So Vietnam has been growing fast recently. China's growth has been slowing down. But I think Vietnam still is maybe around 6.5%.
Okay.
Mongolia is maybe 7.5%. Maybe this year 8%, maybe even 9% this year. We don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting, your business. That's 22 years.
I mean, you have to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, as always.
But sometimes being in the right place at the right time means you have to wait 20 years. So.
Yeah, I started, I think I started 25 years, my company in Moscow. I relocate
Yeah.
the first oligarchs to the Netherlands, to UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand what you're saying, that I think you need to take the risk. I took the risk at that time. And it's sometimes frustrating, it's normal. It's another culture.
Yeah.
The Mongolians, they don't know how they act, how they react.
Yeah.
So you need to respect it also. So I created also, I think the same like you, my own, you move forward, you believe in what you're doing.
Mm.
And I think, for one side, we are the same. We try to understand, for you was a better UI was Mongolian, you try to understand the people.
Yeah, of course.
And that is very interesting. And me the same, I think Russian, and did give me my success still today, but you never know what's happening tomorrow. That's no.
Exactly.
And that give me kind of privileges, man. But the world changed, huh?
Absolutely. So, yeah.
So tell me, if I have now friends, they want to come over to here, are you advising people to invest here or not?
Absolutely.
I was specialized in East Europe till Kazakhstan, but Kazakhstan is all, I think, Central Asia.
Yeah.
And especially when you see now the war is over and we start to focus more on Central Asia and going up. And for me is that I'm very surprised here now that I'm here now again with the Mongolian people, how they act, how they react, and yeah, it's true, it's fun. And there is a future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's taken 20 years to really get the minerals coming out of the ground. And now, this year there's like another 3 gold mines coming up and running.
Wow.
Yeah, there's more to come, yeah. So I think, we could have been much farther along, but the politics has held the country back. But as long as the politics remains reasonable, then I think the next 10 years is going to be great.
Yeah, and also I think also to manage today country, I think is also not easy. And
yeah,
if we move forward, I think that's important.
Absolutely.
The nature is amazing.
Yeah. Well, I guess the
The
big
people are amazing.
The big news for this year is that it was voted the #1 country in the world to visit by Lonely Planet.
So I think that is, I don't say disappointment.
Yeah.
Each country has its own way.
Yeah, of course.
So I need to
Yeah.
respect the Mongolian. I do that, but there I see like we see that from both sides. What you can do here.
Yeah, precisely. So I think this year will be a great year for tourism. We're supposed to have like 500,000 Koreans coming. So
Koreans.
yes, yeah. So the relationship between Korea and Mongolia is blossoming. And there's some, kind of like genetic relationship there as well from a long time ago. So that's going to be, there's not even enough capacity to handle 500,000 Koreans. So if you add everything up, maybe this will be the first year we get to over 1 million tourists, maybe, possibly, which is a lot.
It's huge.
It's huge. I remember the days when we got like 40, 60, 70,000 tourists in a year. So yeah, it's growing. And then within that tourism industry, we always will have like 1 or 2 or 3% of those tourists as actual investors. They fall in love with the country.
That's it.
They invest a little bit of money.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So tell me, if I have now friends, they want to come over to here, are you advising people to invest here or not?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what does you think? What they need to invest in residential prime location or how you see it?
Residential prime location is always quite a safe bet because you do have a lot of foreigners that need to rent, and it's pretty straightforward to rent to them. Also now we have commercial, we have retail opportunities, we have industrial, which is interesting. Like there's not enough warehouses in the country.
Wow.
So now
what you talking? Sorry, warehouses, logistics. Are you know something what they pay by the square meter? You have an idea?
Yeah, it really depends on the area, but let's say it's a big range between $10 a square meter to $30 a square meter rent per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 till 30.
Yeah.
What I'm doing now, I'm going to build now one and a half, there's 30,000 square meter in Kiev.
Yeah.
Especially now with the war, everything going up. And the war, the bombing and blah blah. And I'm dealing now just yesterday at $8 a square meter.
So
10 till 30.
Yeah, because most of the warehouses are quite small. And yeah, they're not, when you start to build 10, 20, 30,000 square meter warehouses, yes, then the price comes down. It can even be $5.
Okay, I know what you mean.
But right now it seems like a lot of the warehouses are like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 square meters.
And then you talk about how many square meters? The price?
The price can be like, it can be, let's say 8 up to, as much as...
So depending how big it is, how less.
Exactly.
And to build, Lee?
To build is...
logistics, eh?
So that's a little bit complicated by the fact that, okay, you can build brick warehouses here, but mostly people will use sandwich panel and they'll import it from China.
Okay.
So let's say you're still talking about $600, $700, $800 a square meter.
I pay $500 now in Ukraine.
And it seems about right.
Yeah, that's correct.
We would definitely be paying $500, except for the importation cost.
Exactly.
The train is very expensive, then the customs.
The train is expensive, really?
The train in China is very expensive.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, from the investments, people want to invest to Mongolia, set up a company, can they also put up a branch here from their own company in Europe? That's also possible, yeah?
Yeah, no problem.
That's also possible. Is it complicated?
Not that complicated.
Administration thing?
Not too much. There is bureaucracy in the Mongolian government, but for setting up companies and bank account, it's okay.
It's okay, it's not complicated.
Not that complicated. Yeah.
So actually for investors, it's pretty interesting.
And for real estate, there's plenty of people around the world that own it in their own personal name, or they own it in a company that's overseas, and they own the immovable property certificate.
Okay, well, secondly, let me say, I want to buy a property here. I want to buy a prime location.
Yeah.
But I'm living in Luxembourg. But you tell me, 1 second, you need a residency. How are you going to do with that?
For the bank account.
Yeah, the bank account, we can do it.
Well, Our company, so Mongolian Properties, we actually collect all the rent. We have an agreement with the Mongolian government. We pay the tax to them on your rental income.
So let me do it A, B, C. I'm gonna buy a property for 500,000.
Yep.
I want to buy it. So I need some property. We find one. I'm gonna pay my 500,000 to your company or to direct to the owner.
To the developer.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
you're gonna rent it for me.
We're gonna rent it.
Okay,
Exactly.
rent it.
Yeah.
The money is coming in the currency here, and then you transfer it to me.
Yes.
Okay, but let me say, Lee, you know the interest rate is very good. I want to keep it there.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do it?
Then you need a bank account.
Then
Yeah.
you need a bank account.
Yeah.
So, Lee, I need a bank account. How are we gonna do it?
Yeah. So then your agency or our agency would have to go to the bank on your behalf. You probably would have to visit the country.
Okay.
and set up
Okay,
a
but
bank
let me
account.
say, when
Yeah.
everything is clear, open book, then
Yeah.
you can have a bank account, correct?
Yes.
That's it, eh?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere, like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere, it's hard, even Luxembourg, Switzerland, it's hard to open a bank account.
Very hard.
But
Yeah.
when you have an open book, my clients, we have never one problem. Why? We have an open book for the banks.
Yeah.
Then it's okay.
Yeah.
So actually the same here.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know, every time I finish a building, doing property development in Mongolia is very stressful. So, as you're in the middle of building the building, you get very nervous. You can't sleep at night because you're worried about finishing it.
So Lee, what you make into the real estate?
Well, I don't know. I didn't have a real estate background, so I was mostly doing private equity in Hong Kong before I came here to Mongolia. And yeah, as I mentioned, I just made a small investment in the real estate market here, and 3 small apartments. And from there, I started a real estate agency. And I didn't know how to do that, but
So like me, the same. Yeah.
it was quite fun. Yeah. And then we also turned into a property developer as well. So yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I actually I think we are in the same. We have the same story. I went at that time, you know, when I was young. At that time, you think you can be the next big guy in real estate, you know.
Of course, yeah.
So I went at that time to Moscow without experience, with the idea that you're going to make a lot of money. I really remember that you know Moscow, little?
A little bit, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I really remember that I took the metro on. There was not mentioned English, only Russians. We went to the city and all the buildings started to be smaller. So I went out of the city. And you start somewhere and you believe what you're doing, and then you create your own model. I think you do, eh?
Exactly.
You create your own model,
Yeah.
and without experience, but to understand the people, what they need. I think that's the best school. I think
Yeah.
so. And believe in it, what you do. And be always with the feet on the ground. That's very important. Don't look at the big money, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Annie, tell me, what is your highlights in your career? Tell me. You have something interesting to tell me?
Well, you know, every time I finish a building, doing property development in Mongolia is very stressful. So, as you're in the middle of building the building, you get very nervous. You can't sleep at night because you're worried about finishing it. So when you do finish a building, then you know it's quite a celebration. And for one of our buildings called the Olympic Residence, we won an Asia Pacific Architecture Award for that building.
Wow.
Like one of the best property developments in Asia.
Wow.
So yeah, and so now we're just starting our next project, and we're hoping it's going to win some awards as well.
So on that you are very proud.
Yeah, very proud of it. Yeah.
Wow.
How about yourself?
So highlight. I think if we can, I like what I'm doing, but one of the, I don't say highlight, but something, I did a deal on the snow on a pet person in Kazakhstan. It was a property for 1,000 square meters on the montagne, and it was mentioned everywhere worldwide. Very interesting, and we know how Kazakhs are, you know, like the Russian mentality.
Larger than life.
Larger than life.
Yeah.
Anyway, and very interesting, and my secretary was talking with him, searching a property in London, and how secretaries between talk each other. My secretary told his secretary, yes, we have a property in Paris. So his secretary forgot to tell that it was Paris. So end of the story, the Kazakh person, he spent 65 million in a property, Paris.
He told me, I don't know, I cannot understand here.
I said, what's wrong?
I don't understand. I think I was buying in London.
So he spent 65 million. Let me say, I have a question from an investor. How you see here the Mongolian market, real estate market? How you see it in the future?
So as a foreign investor, you're really considering two things. Number one is your rental yield.
Okay.
And number two is your capital appreciation. And I guess, well, thirdly, out of a concern is, what is the liquidity on the resale market? And then also, what is the currency going to do?
Exactly.
Is the currency going to depreciate or what have you? So I think right now, the rental yields have come from, let's say, high 20s. We're now down to like 10%, 11%, 12% rental yield. But we've expanded just from residential renting to foreigners to now going into industrial, retail. There's a lot of retail brands now coming in, primarily from their representative offices in Hong Kong, like a lot of Italian brands. And so even this year, many of them are coming to visit to look at putting retail spaces.
What you advise starting real estate agents, brokers, what you advise?
Well, as we've discussed, personal relationships and networking is very important. But also in markets that don't have a lot of transparency, honesty is incredibly important. And there are many occasions where a deal has gone wrong, and not only in Mongolia, but I'm sure all around the world. So,
what I see mostly with the young generation, they want to go too fast.
Yeah, of course.
But they don't spend. They spend time in network, but they not follow up, and it's too short. I see that more and more that the quality of the real estate agent is relentless.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
they're looking only for the money. There's also no after sales. If they got the money, it's okay.
That's the most important.
And then it
thing.
starts when
Yeah.
this thing to do the deal.
Yeah.
That's the easy thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's before
Yeah.
to inform the people, loud on to do that. That's on then after sales. That's the key.
Okay, well, we had a really good chat today.
Very
and,
interesting to know
fascinating.
your name. It's very
Yeah.
interesting how you market this, how the inside of the market. Very interesting.
I think it's been very interesting to be here, and the future looks great. So we welcome people like you coming in to understand the market better.
We're going to come back, I'm
Yeah.
sure, and then together
That'll
with
be great.
Bloomberg, we look forward to see you again.
Sounds good. Pleasure talking to you.